Good evening, I'm Byron Scott with a CTV News update. Well, coordinated and violent, that's how police are describing an early morning carjacking at the Mall of Prince George's. Investigators say carjackers and 4 cars boxed in the victim, preventing her from driving away. They say one of the perpetrators pointed a gun at her face and pulled her from the SUV, then stole the vehicle, described as a silver 2016 Nissan Rogue with Maryland tags 2DT5949. Police say the victim was shaken, otherwise not injured. Anyone who may have information is asked to call police at 301-985-5060. Greenbelt police are looking for a missing teenager. 13-year-old DeAndre Stevenson was last seen leaving his home on the 9100 block of Edmonston Terrace yesterday morning at around 8:45. He was wearing a black ski mask, green polo shirt, a black hoodie, and tan pants. Police say this is a critical missing person case. If you have any information on his whereabouts, call 301-474-5454. Well, as the investigation continues into the crash on I-695 that left 6 highway workers dead, we now know that a Laurel man was one of the victims. 46-year-old Rolando Ruiz has been identified as one of the 6 highway workers who were killed in yesterday's crash. Maryland State Police say 54-year-old Lisa Lee was attempting to change lanes on I-695 when a car hit a Volkswagen driven by Malachi Brown. Lee's vehicle then overturned and hit the crews in the work zone. Well, Whole Foods plans to shutter a major distribution center in Prince George's County. That's according to the Washington Business Journal. Amazon, which owns Whole Foods, filed notification Tuesday with the Maryland Labor Department about plans to shut down its Mid-Atlantic seafood facility in Landover. Now, the planned closure is slated to take effect on May 23rd and will impact 65 employees. The notice comes one day after Amazon disclosed plans to eliminate about 9,000 jobs. Well, renovations to a historic city-owned building in Mount Rainier are set to begin next week. Potts Hall, which is adjacent to City Hall, was built in 1909. It was the venue of the first city council meetings and a place for religious and civic activities. Part of the renovations will include connecting Potts Hall with City Hall and will include the new home for the council chambers, as well as a welcome center, among other things.
The connection will allow for us to be able to have access to both buildings for the community, and at the same time have a space for people to gather indoors when it comes to events, when it comes to committees, but also allowing for community to join together. I think spaces that allow for that to happen are always very positive. So something so significant as a building that was here in the city before we were even incorporated is something very meaningful. So we want to make sure that, one, we honor the history of a building that was building around a community and be able to expand it.
Renovations begin next Tuesday and are expected to last about 18 months. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott. More news in just a bit. Stay tuned.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back. A former Prince George's police officer is granted a new trial and ordered released from prison. This according to WJLA. The move comes after the state's attorney's office was accused of misconduct in the original trial. Lieutenant Richard Talent was found guilty in 2019 of sexually assaulting a female officer in the parking lot of the FOP Lodge in Upper Marlboro. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Talent, who retired before being indicted, was granted a new trial yesterday. He'll remain on home detention until his new trial, which is set for July 31st. Well, a Frederick County deputy is arrested and charged with child abuse. Maryland State Police say 29-year-old Deputy Alan Mandujano faces second-degree child abuse and assault charges. The alleged assault occurred this past Tuesday and involved a 6-year-old child. The deputy is currently on suspension without pay from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. Mandujano previously worked as a Prince George's Sheriff's Department officer. Well, Governor Westmore reacts to a troubling report from the Anti-Defamation League that shows that anti-Semitic incidents have doubled in Maryland over the past year. 109 incidents reported last year. That's a 98% increase from 2021 and a 132% increase from the 47 incidents back in 2020. The governor says he has spoken with the regional director of the ADL and that he refused to allow the alarming actions to go unnoticed. Well, a bill that would allow victims of certain hate crimes to bring civil action against their perpetrators makes its way through the Maryland General Assembly. A hearing has been scheduled in the House Judiciary Committee for next Wednesday. That measure, which unanimously passed the Senate last Friday, contains a racial equity impact statement. The report says the legislation offers victims opportunities for restorative justice. If enacted, the bill will become effective on October 1st. Well, lawmakers in Annapolis are debating legislation aimed at protecting children. House Bill 16, also known as the Hear Our Voices Act, will require public schools to provide information to students, parents, and faculty regarding who serves as the Title IX coordinator for the school. The measures that are in place for an individual who files a sexual misconduct complaint and how to access the support measures.
This bill focuses on is making sure we provide educational resources to students and parents on if something happens, the correct process for going about filing a Title IX complaint for whatever it is, and making sure that it's publicly listed on the websites of each of the schools and available in the schools so they know where to go. So you will know that if you're a parent and your child comes and tells you that something happened in school, you'll know who to go to instead of going to that teacher necessarily or that facilities worker or whoever it is, or even that other student. You have a person who's trained and prepared on how to handle those circumstances appropriately that protects you and your family.
A hearing was held on that bill yesterday. Well, there was a time when seeing a female police officer was rare. Today we hear from one woman who broke down those barriers in the Prince George's Police Department. This is retired Captain Betty Mintz. She was the first woman to hold the title as Assistant Commander of Special Operations Division at the agency. Mintz also worked in the Community Relations and Hostage Negotiations Division. Take a listen to what she has to say about her lasting impact.
The man who started the whole program in New York City, they just said men won't surrender to a woman. And so I got on there and ended up getting the first gold medal of valor for a female officer. And I really didn't ever think that I would be any kind of a pioneer in anything. But I was glad after I got in places that other females followed me in. And I'm proud of the women that have come along.
Mintz served 20 years with Prince George's Police. And still to come, the Lady Terps gear up for another March Madness matchup. The Thursday Post Sports page is just ahead. Stay with us.
Hey sports fans, Simon Bugs here. And coming up shortly, the UMD women's basketball team leaves for their upcoming Sweet 16 matchup against Notre Dame, and the Washington Wizards losing streak gets extended. Don't go anywhere.
Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
I spent a lot of that day in prayer and in tears.
We had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. I mean, they saved him.
We're just so thankful for every single day. It feels like we've reached a goal, getting to see him live out his life in a joyful way.
He's here because of what St. Jude has done, the knowledge that has been accumulated and shared with everyone else around the world. We're very thankful.
Welcome back. Many religious organizations found their land or facilities underutilized during the pandemic, so they developed plans to create affordable housing for the area. The application process can be so tedious. Lawmakers cross-file bills to expedite development reviews, but sponsors say the legislation isn't going to pass this session.
It benefits churches, it benefits regular people. We need a lot of housing. Churches, synagogues, mosques, across the state are struggling sometimes to keep their doors open. And in some cases, they have a lot of excess space. They may have planned their building for a 1970 congregation, and they may have too big of a parking lot. They may have an extra wing of the facility that is sparsely used. And there have been a lot of these church to housing, or part of a church to a housing conversion that have been done. There have been several of them in Maryland, in the DC area, especially Northern Virginia, DC, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County, especially. But there would have been many more if it was easier to do this.
Senator Alonzo Washington, who had the companion bill in his chamber, says concerns regarding the separation of church and state was one reason the measure never made it out of committee. He says they are currently awaiting an opinion from the Maryland Attorney General's office on the constitutionality of the bill. Lawmakers will then decide whether to reintroduce the legislation next session. Well, as the rate of substance abuse among minors rises, Prince George's County Public Schools decided to spread awareness on the dangers of illegal substances like fentanyl. Students at Flowers High School in Springdale took part in the PSA to warn their peers on the dangers of substance abuse.
We've lost friends. You don't know what's in it, and you're putting it in your body?
There's people out here dying off this stuff. Not cool.
What if that happened to one of your friends?
Or your sister.
Or your little brother.
How would you feel? How would you feel?
Would you know what to do? Would you know what to do?
The full PSA can be seen on the PGCTV Instagram account. Well, Governor Westmore rolls up his sleeves and heads to school. Reads to school children. The governor making a stop at the 4th grade class at Easton Elementary School in Hagerstown yesterday. Moore read the popular children's book Dream Street by Tricia Elam Walker. Moore's appearance was a part of Read Across America, which was celebrated nationally earlier this month.
It's time for your Thursday sports page. We'll start with college basketball. It'll be an exciting weekend for Terps fans as the women's basketball team will have a chance to advance to the Elite Eight. The team left for their upcoming matchup versus the number 10 seed Notre Dame earlier today and were wished good luck by fans. The Lady Terps will face off against the Fighting Irish on Saturday. Meantime, the Washington Wizards took the court against the Denver Nuggets last night, but will lose 118-104. This loss makes it the 4th one in a row for the Wizards.
I only had 1 turnover for no points in that first half, and then 12 points off 6 turnovers in that quarter alone. So you finish with 7, you feel pretty good about it. But, you know, they scored on each one of those turnovers. So the 3-point shooting as well. I think 1, maybe 2 of those were off the live ball turnovers, but just getting to those shooters. And I think Michael Porter got going 3 for 4 in that quarter as well. So it was a combination of both of those things, I think, that really hurt us.
The Wizards will try and get back in the win column versus the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow at 7 o'clock. To wrap sports up, the Baltimore Orioles fell to the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday 2-1. They will take the diamond next against the Detroit Tigers today at 6:05. And that is your Thursday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thank you, Simon. Let's get a quick check now at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 55. Tomorrow, showers throughout the day with a daytime high near 53. Saturday, more rain expected with a high near 63. Sunday, sunny with a high near 65. And that's our news for tonight. I'm Byron Scott. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Yes, who's next on a scale that never fails?
What about me? Can you guess my weight?
Well, when it comes to your weight, I'm going to tell you what I know. I know the healthier option often isn't an option. That you don't exercise enough because you can't. And how everyone blames you, especially yourself. I know your weight is out of control because I know it's not just what you're eating, it's what you're being fed.